And we're on. We're back for part two of our review on The Giver. And my buddy here, Gematria. I almost called you Matria. Just strip off the
Mafia, there
gem.
you
Just
go.
strip it right off. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a basically my computer kind of crashed. The OBS just died midstream. We were at the near the very end of the movie there when we were doing our description, and then we just crashed. Mind you, I went back and rewatched myself, and I was starting to fall apart. I was pretty damn tired. I didn't realize how tired I was, and then I ended up that joint just killed me. It just destroyed me. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, guys. Where we left off, pretty much, we were talking about. Actually, we went off on tangents. But then we were at the end of the movie, though, and if you guys recall, we were talking about how the main
Yeah,
character's buddy there picks him up with a drone and drops him into a death-defying river drop, and then they find the barrier. They release the memories from the air where they live, where they're harbored, and everyone lives happily ever after. It was totally retarded. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get over into the different areas of the predictive programming of this movie, some of the symbolism, and even just talk about some of the fun stuff, and also to like cinematography and. We were touching on some key issues, how it did appear almost to be like an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation or something along those lines. It had that kind of campiness to it. I do want to say, though, out of all of it, it was a charming movie. It was, and that's the word I'm going to use to describe it. It was charming, and that was about it. It wasn't. Yeah.
kind of WB.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. It had that after school special kind of flavor to it. I could have I could have easily seen this be done with like younger children, maybe with not quite as harsh of like. I think what they did is they selected their age group based on the material because it is kind of got like a bit of a darker thing, and I don't think they would have sold it to kids. It wasn't bippity boppity boo. You know what I mean? Like it kind of had. I think they changed the ages of the main characters from the book, at least anyway, to make it more marketable and among other things. So plus it was 94,
Those
man. I mean, I said I did it
are
again.
good,
I did it again. I did it yesterday and I did it again
but
now. I called it 94 instead of 2014. It's like I can't say 2014. I always jump 20 years
well,
behind.
the book was in '93.
Maybe
It
that's
was at
where I
90.
maybe that's where I got it from. And yeah, but then when I referred to that yesterday, I referred to it as 2013. You can't win.
It's like '93 is like a shout out to the Lima people.
Mm, I think 93 was shared with
I mean,
92.
not the year, but
I think
that's what the
the
year.
year though for me, 93
The book.
shares with 92 the era of some of the best music to ever be released in our lifetime.
After you start out your synopsis, I want to go on the. I mean, finish your synopsis. I want to go on your the book. Read the about the book.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much done the synopsis. For anyone just tuning in now, just refer to the last night's podcast, and if you can get through it, it's pretty much just your average. It's a very simple story. The main characters are in a world that they don't understand, yet they think they do, and then one of them has a breakaway experience, and then they have to basically, in order to save society, they have to go against the grain and make people realize that the truth is out there. There must be other, complexes like this place. Because remember we were talking about the size of the settlement. It wasn't very large, and I don't think that would be like it's obviously not all that's left of the human race. I mean, unless they're on a completely
I
different.
don't know. That's what I thought. That's what I took from it. Like that's why I was trying to say like
Well,
offline when we were
there.
talking about like the idea of what the hell, how'd they get there?
Well, this is a good segue. This is a good segue into the topic that we're going to go into because, like, that whole dystopian nature of the speech that he gave at the beginning made it sound like everything's perfect. But he did say, like, they didn't use the word war, but he said after the whatever it was after the
They did
disagreement.
show war though, because
They
there was
showed it.
that
They showed it, but his
going
words.
back to that
Be-
you know
He doesn't have the word war.
Vietnam or something.
Right.
It would look like Vietnam kind of
Right,
war.
but in the very beginning, when he gives that little speech, like when he gives that little exposition dump, he doesn't use the word war because the word war isn't in his
No.
vocabulary yet.
Yeah,
Like,
he doesn't even know what that would mean if he said it.
yeah, it's doing that thing again with your camera
I
feed.
see that
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Why is it doing that? I don't
because I'm
like it.
in Vegas and it has like there's some sort of weird like
Yeah.
a lot of 5G here.
Or maybe I might be caching. I don't know if
I'm just kidding.
no, I'm just trying to figure out why it's doing it. I don't know if maybe it's
I don't know.
ca-
Magnetic fucked up.
no, it's caching frames. No, I'm serious here. I'm actually being serious. I wonder if the frame buffer's caching frames and then it's dumping it all at once. Maybe like it's holding frames back and then
I don't know.
or it's sticking somehow. I don't know why it's doing that. If it's doing it on my end or if it's doing it like in between us somehow. That's weird because it is what crashed the machine last night. Like it crashed OBS and
Oh.
it did just so it could be my frame buffer, it could be my sound. I don't know.
It's not doing it now.
No, I know because we're talking about it.
Yeah, it notices. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm alive in here. For some reason, that's how it talks in my brain.
So here, let me pull up my browser. I'm gonna stick that over here.
Browser. I like that.
Browser.
Yeah, brow and then czar. Like BRWZAR. Or CZAR. Dun dun dun.
The Czar of the Old Republic.
The czar of the brow.
You know what's really funny now that I look at it? Like I'm looking at it from from the viewpoint of the viewer that hasn't watched the movie yet. And it says the Giver
Yeah.
official trailer. It says 2014, Meryl Streep, Jeff Bridges. Yes, they are in the movie. You wouldn't know it. Well, Jeff Bridges, like I said, he acts his ass off. He does a good job. Like he's actually convincing. I said he did drop. He didn't drop any dude references directly, but he kind of acted like an old dude when during the
An
piano
old dude. Yeah,
in the piano scene when like
definitely.
when Hayden Christensen there says, "Jeffy boy, what's that? What's that noise? What is that?" It's music, Like, it's like I was waiting for what the fuck do you mean,
Yeah.
But so yeah, it was kind of weird though because they didn't use the word war. They didn't use that as a reference, but he did say after the event. I get it, similar to disagreement or something along those lines. After the quarrel, or I don't know, there was some kind of a
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
You're right.
it's kind of a reference, and it's indicative of whoever won the conflict in that area. In that area,
Great disagreement.
yeah, they must have created the settlement, but now I mean it paints a larger picture though. You know, I tell you, I
So did
wish
they kill off everyone else, and then you know what I mean?
or did they
Like,
build more settlements like this? Are each of them?
or did everybody just die because of some great war type of thing?
Well, it was a great war. It was obviously something like that. But what I mean is the way he referred to it was he did refer to it like, oh, we survived. He said, after everything was really bad, everything was really good, and now that everything is really good. But I mean, there's only about like 300 or 400 people in that whole place, so it can't be indicative of the whole
how
human
many
race.
old people?
Hmm?
Not very many.
Well, no, because they go to the elsewhere. Because remember at the graduation ceremony when they got everyone to graduate, all the old people that leaving their jobs, they all wave by and said, and they're going to the elsewhere.
They're going to elsewhere.
They're going elsewhere. Is that like a
very.
country club? What is it? The
What's
Elsewhere.
that called? The Logan's Run.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in there. Like Logan's Run, that was a constantly running theme that they kind of, I think they kind of assumed that the audience would just get it, like that, so they didn't have to explain anything. You know what I mean? They like they tried so desperately hard to not do exposition dumps that they did one first thing, like with the guy with his little monologue at the beginning saying how fucking weird he is.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway,
And the
but
little written stuff that like pops up,
yeah, they kind
which
of
I
mashed
noticed
it.
more when I had it on like mute.
Yeah, they kind of mashed it all together into one fell swoop there. But it was they did a little thing where he looked at the girl's hair and like it kind of bled that red color through the black and white imagery. And that was another thing too, is that apparently everybody did see in black and white. Like
Yeah.
nobody like, so somehow this energy field that somehow held back the memories from flooding into the
It's
city.
like created color blindness.
It created color blindness too, because this is some energy field. It's very selective. Or is it the drugs? Maybe the drugs.
Well, it has to be. It has to. I think it has to be. The energy field like works with the drugs.
Maybe, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, because when he stopped taking the drugs, he wasn't affected by the energy field.
Right, yeah. And maybe the drugs also, maybe they do something directly to your rods and cones in your eyes. I don't know, but apparently, yeah. Yeah, because he does try to ask the girl later on in the show. He's like, "What did you know? Did you see that? What do you see?" You know, and I guess he doesn't have the word color in his, well, until Jeff Bridges gives it to him. But he doesn't have the word color. I don't know if maybe the script writers neglected to remember that Jeff just told him what the fuck it was. It was color. But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird choice, and they didn't harp on it very long, so it wasn't a big thing in the movie. It was only a big thing for the first like act, really. I guess breaking into the second act is when he was trying to convince the girl of his, stuff, and then
Yeah.
the third act was a complete sham. That's when we got into the mustache twirling mode, and then it just got silly. It got really silly, and after the computer crash last night, you and I were talking, and I was mentioning that it kind of like, as a kids movie, it kind of had that flow. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Never Ending Story, like that kind of
Light of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator's another one. Yeah, like it
It's
had
like
that.
adventure kid stories.
It was kind of like that. Yeah, it was weird because like the last act with the whole cross country expedition to find the barrier was laughable at best because it was just a bunch of walking and slope hands. It was just like, but
Yeah.
it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Did you see that scene I was talking about last night? Did you see that scene with the baby when he passes out in the snow and the baby's auto just looking around, and you just see these like extra extreme close-ups of the baby's face as like just huh? Like looking around.
There were scenes that just seemed to be unnecessary. I was watching it again.
Go ahead. Tell me.
No, just like I noticed that.
Oh,
Like they're just like they had these extra scenes that you're just like, okay, you didn't need that. Like for instance, the death of the baby scene. Like if that was made for children and it's supposedly like PG-13, so it's like you would think it's made for children. That they're or at least family, right? Family orientated.
right.
So then when they do the death of the baby scene, like looks like they're just euthanizing the baby, just like
Like a
what do you
dog.
call it, like a
Like
how
a
they do a dog, yeah,
yeah.
and then they like literally like drop it down a fucking chute after putting it in a box. It's that's all folded up and it just kind of comes out like okay, this is just the norm. So then you're just thinking, okay, so this is what they do with all the babies,
It was like
that aren't being right.
it was like a fucking Staples box, like like one of those, like with the printer
They're just
paper,
like,
like a
what?
it was like a printer paper box, those big boxes with the printer paper in it, like 6,000 sheets or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, I just places the baby in there. Okay, well, we'll see you. You're going to the Elsewhere now. Puts the lid on it. Just throws it down the chute. Well,
And you watch, and they do a close up of him like looking at the baby as it's like dying, essentially. like not breathing anymore, not moving anymore. It's like that's a pretty horrific thing for a child to see that's 13 and under.
Yeah, well, PG-13 is 13 and over. Like they don't have a maximum age to watch a movie. It would be 13 and over. But
Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, I mean like
but
13.
but that's why I think they
Well,
went.
even
That's what I was touching on earlier, though, is that that's why they probably went with the age group of the actors that they went with because A, you can market it a little bit better, and it was probably a little bit too dark to to put on film as a kids movie, like you know what I mean. But it's still some of the aspects of it translated through. Though I still had that feeling of those adventure kind of movies, and I think it might have worked out better if they had gone that route, and you know they
did you see
just
that
skip
one?
on a few things.
What is it
Check.
called? Wait, hold on. I have to remember. Maze Runner, the Maze Runner series,
Yeah,
or whatever. That seemed to have that kind of quality
it did
too.
too. Yeah,
Like
that's right. It was more. It
this
was more
element of
like
like, we're
it,
seeing kids, but it's kind of dark.
like it could have.
That
Hey, it could have been in the same world as Maze Runner, like the
was
way.
also PG-13.
Yeah, like it could have been. It could have been like in the same world for all we know. You know what I mean? Like the way that it was pulled off.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah,
true that they had like similar connections, but
yeah. Like I was saying, it would have been great if they had
same
some kind of
universe.
an
Not the
alien
same world,
connection.
the same universe.
Because if it had an alien
Hmm.
connection, it could totally be like how some people say the icebreaker or icebreaker. Sorry, was it Icebreaker? Snowpiercer. Remember how
Yeah,
they say
Snowpiercer.
it could easily be like an extension or an extended universe of Charlie and the
Charlie and the
Chocolate,
Chocolate Factory.
yeah, and the Chocolate Factory. That's right.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
in the
That's
same,
some sort of ongoing theory out there,
yeah, it is, and I think it's still
like a
going. I think
fan theory.
it's a
You
fan
know,
theory, but I think the production is probably feeding into that. I haven't seen the series yet. I'm gonna actually watch that real soon. Maybe we'll cover it here on this show. And for people watching, by the way, just so that you're aware, we're doing this as a release on my main channel right now, but I have another channel called Robbed Reviews, and we'll be moving it over to there for Sunday nights. So I'll leave links in the description of this and the other episode we did last night, just so that you guys have a link to get over there. But just a heads up if you like what we're doing. We're still kind of piecing the show together, so we're gonna, we're gonna have different elements and stuff. I'm gonna kind of add to it and take away. It's kind of growing as we come up with ideas for this because we always end up talking about movies anyway. So we figured we might as well just have a movie channel and get it out of our damn system, right?
exactly. And this way we have like at least some sort of focus, even though we still go off on tangents.
We'll still go off on tangents and talk about not movies. That's right.
Yeah,
But
we'll talk about the symbolism and all that that's connected to him that we've noticed or whatever.
so
We
yeah,
learned from Jeff to always look at the foreground or
the
background.
background. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And another thing too with movies. See, we're gonna do movie reviews in a slightly different way. We're gonna talk about movies as they are, just as movies, but we're also gonna be talking about what other elements might be present in the production, whether it's predictive programming, satanic or Masonic, references, bad writing, or things that are kind of misleading. There's all sorts of things. Like, I mean, I got a heavy, and it makes sense because 2014, they kind of went back to the whole anti-drug thing again. They were really kind of harping on the anti-drug thing. That was near that was at the end of Obama's last term, wasn't it?
That's weird. It was like I thought we were done with this. They're all
Yeah.
like trying to bring us back. It was like, what's happening?
Well, I think because it was near the end of a presidency, it was like half. It was three-quarters of the way through, and they were starting to gear up for the next, platform. I think they were trying to bring up all these humanitarian issues, and the war on drugs was always a surefire bet that it would be on the fucking ticket. You know what I mean?
Right?
It's like we won't talk about Obamacare, but we'll talk about fucking the war on drugs. Still fighting it, but yeah, they really did a whole thing. Now, it was weird because like it was always the undercurrent of the thing was between the dude and the girl was about getting off the drugs and becoming emotionally competent again. And I guess her waking up, it was her that woke up the other guy, like between the three of them, the three friends. And yeah, they did a little jealousy triangle thing, but then he
Other
saves his
people have
buddy at
any
the end.
friends?
What?
Did other people have any friends?
Other people,
You know what I mean?
not that we know.
We didn't in the background, right? So like the
Yeah.
other people that we saw walking around and stuff, did they have any friends, or are they just all seeing like it almost felt like
Like they're
because
the
we were
only
focused
three
on the
that
three
that were social.
characters, that
Yeah.
yeah, it seemed like the other people like didn't even do anything or anything. They
Yeah.
were just like non-player characters.
Yeah, they did have that NPC quality. Like some of them just like they had no personalities and like one line to throw away here or there.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, and that aspect of it, I guess they saved money on the extras. They probably blew all their friggin' cash on Meryl Streep and Jeff Bridges. I'm telling you. I mean, Hayden
Oh yeah,
Christensen, the
probably.
real Hayden Christensen, probably turned them down. He had the Star Wars stuff to do, but actually, I think he was actively like 2014. That was 20. I keep going back to 1994 in my head for some stupid reason. I don't know why. That's hilarious. But don't worry about my my abject problems with my brain. Anyway, so what do you think about all of the symbolism in this? I mean, there was a lot of a
Well, I
lot of
felt it was very cultish, looking
yeah.
at
I was gonna
a
say
lot of
a,
cults.
a lot of those tropes. Yeah, there's a
Doing my research on various different cults,
yeah.
like I saw a lot of cult qualities in it.
Well, that's just it. And remember, we touched on the AI aspect, where the AI seemed like it was like kind of the all-seeing eye, if you would, of the whole place, and yet it was Meryl Streep's
It has
character
no
that had
power,
power.
like yeah.
She had power over everything else. Like so, it's like Ma Bear was actually the controller. See again, I don't think the movie knew what it wanted to be. And there's
It
another
seemed like
thing.
she was like a former president of like a former society that no longer existed,
That's what I
and
was. Yeah, that's what I was
and
alluding to
so
earlier.
she was running, and
That
she's like became the person that ran it or whatever, and
yeah,
people follow her because she's the former president
yeah.
of that other society. So then she becomes the new whatever it is they're calling her now
Which is why
of
I
this
think
society,
there would
which
probably
would
be
be the
other
old
ones.
people that ended up going to Carousel. I mean,
Hmm.
what do they call it?
The elsewhere.
Other elsewhere.
They're in the elsewhere. They're not here. What do you
That's
mean? They're elsewhere? Is
that's
he
a deep
elsewhere?
cut.
No, no,
That's a
no. He's
deep
not
cut
elsewhere.
joke.
He's just not here.
Yeah, that's a deep cut joke
Yeah, totally.
for all those people that have seen what's that called again? Not Babylon 5. Fucking Logan's Run.
Logan's Run. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch those. I get that confused with what's the one with Brave New World? No, not Brave New World. It's the other one.
No, that doesn't seem like
Logan's
he was.
Run. I can't remember the name of it. It's an old one. It's in space though, I think. But anyway,
No, the interesting thing about Logan's Run is they have so, the way they get out is a butterfly or a moth.
oh,
It's like a flying thing,
oh yeah, I can't
and,
remember. I haven't seen it for
I
years.
think that's symbolic because of well, yeah, when they get out, they end up finding that old guy.
Right, right.
But who, yeah. So the whole um representation of like flying, like and like this thing, and they don't know what it is. It's
Mm,
like just a flying thing to them because
yeah,
they've never been taught in that world.
yeah.
And I think this is a similar kind of reference to those people that were watching. It's like they just get everything handed to them, kind of like the North Koreans,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
it's it's definitely a commune, which leads me to think there has to be more of these. I bet because the way that they're designed, I bet you they have more than one of these. And I wonder if the
Well,
creators.
and also she was like like a hologram or
Yeah,
whatever. So like obviously they have that technology, and maybe there's other systems out there,
that's what I
like
mean. Because they got
land
drones,
things.
they got flying machines. Like so, obviously they have the ability to populate more areas. You know what I mean? I wonder. I bet you that information would definitely be in the book. It would be interesting to read that. I'd have to definitely find someone who's read it and ask them because I'm not reading it. I'll never read it. But I would like to say I
Like I
will,
said,
but I won't.
we
I
can
know I
we
won't.
can go we can go to a YouTube what's that called, like Easter egg type of thing, like where they're telling you about the book.
Right. I don't know. I'll have
They
to.
read it, and they'll tell you all about it.
I'll find a condensed notes. No, but yeah, no, there was definitely that cult quality. Also, the reactions, like to asking questions. Like I said, that was one of the rules. Like one of the 5 rules that they had was to not ask questions. That's a freaking red flag right there. It's like, okay, don't ask any questions, or you go to the elsewhere. What's the elsewhere? You don't want to know. It's
That's a
not.
question.
It's not horror. That's a question. Yeah,
You're not supposed to ask that.
you're not supposed to
That's a
ask
question.
questions. I didn't even catch my own joke.
Mind your language.
Language. How do you
Language.
feel? It's like, well, you're allowed to ask people like questions like, well, like how do you feel or whatever. But it was funny because like, so how do you feel? It's like I'm terrified. Language. No, yeah, they're not.
I
I think it was I can't remember how they worded it. I should have rewatched the intro, but yeah, it was kind of a big red flag there. I think what they did is they just wanted to explain away the bits that they would kind of cover in the script, just so that way they covered their kind of bases. You know what I mean? And everybody else could kind of infer the rest. And I don't think the movie though, because like the way it was heavy-handed because like your more senior actors, like, well, the 2 senior actors like Meryl Streep and Jeff Bridges, like they were almost treated as if they were the main characters because they got almost as much screen time as the kids did. You know what I mean? Like it was almost as if, and not to mention the title of The Giver is actually Jeff Bridges' character's fucking title. Like that is his job description and title in the movie. So it's kind of funny because even titular speaking, it's still kind of in it's him. It's a big focus on him. Mike Horniak. Oh yeah. Not available. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. It was weird because like it was almost as if there was more subtext with Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep's character. Like they know, but near the end, you start to find out that they both know.
they were clearly the originals.
Yeah, they were clearly the originals. So this thing isn't even that long, which begs the question, like why would keeping the memories even be, it would be a misnomer. Like why would you even have them present to present a problem later? I don't understand the reason or value of having something so dangerous to these new implementations. Like it was just like, why would like and why would you now let basically 2 people with all of the power of the previous knowledge conspire in a location without giving yourself the tools? Now obviously she had the tools because they even had like trained police somewhere. Why would you? Where do they train? How do they have trained police? How many other people don't live by the same code? Like now this begs a whole foray of new questions. Like where's a training facility? Like how does this work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those bikes, by the way, they were all like pedal bikes. Like like halfway through the movie, and somehow they switched to being e-bikes. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not.
They're all now
Yeah,
e-bikes do have pedals. I do know that. Yes, e-bikes do have pedals. And
almost
you
like
could,
mopeds,
yeah. If you want to
basically.
drive an e-bike that doesn't have pedals, you have to have a motorcycle's license. You know what I mean? That's the classification, like by law. So yes, I do
Yeah,
know.
the e-bikes around where I
Yeah.
live,
So
they have pedals.
you could have hidden the e-bike technology in a regular bike and just not tell the viewer. But I mean, it wouldn't have taken much to write in something like that. You know what I mean? It would have been you could have done it with like a one throwaway line. You know, it's like, oh, I didn't charge the bike. You know, so now he's pedaling. I don't know,
Right.
something silly like that. But because now near the end, like you get like, well, it was kind of like a medium crawl. Like this, it was a medium crawl speed chase. It wasn't like a high speed chase. It was kind of like it was kind of like a safe. It was a
But
very,
they can only go so fast.
yeah, it was a very safe chase. We'll get him eventually. He's going exactly as fast as we are.
You're right.
You can't ride forever.
Oh,
It was kind of like the last
no,
Star Wars
no.
movie. That was so bad.
Oh, snap.
But I yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That whole I yeah, no. So what else was there in there that I wanted to kind of touch on? Um, because there really isn't a whole lot to go on after that. We touched on the. I didn't see very much of the Masonic stuff. I did with the more of
Yeah, I didn't either,
The
actually.
Illuminati references. And there was, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else it reminds me of because there's something else there, and I just can't put my finger on it. But I don't know. I think the movie was. I think it was a kids. I think somebody must have pitched it as a kids movie, and then they kind of upscaled it to become more like you were saying, like something like in the realm of like Maze Runner. So they got some younger, good-looking kids to go in there and be the main roles, and then they got they to draw an audience. They got Bridges and Streep to come in and be the
Right.
old fogies, and then yeah, and
So
just
then basically families would go see it.
yeah, it just made a family friendly movie. It doesn't require too many brain cells to process, and it was a charming flick. It was simple. Um, yeah, there was no complexity really to it at all. I mean, about as complex as it got was with the third friend there. They had that kind of little like, oh, I don't know, is the guy jealous or not? We'll never know. And obviously he's not. So because it's like he had the power right in his hands right there to drop the guy over some rocks, and didn't. So that was not very climactic. It was kind of anticlimactic for sure, but yeah. Yeah, I was about ready to say, "Here, give me that thing." When they were gonna do the chick in there while they were waiting to euthanize her. I
The
was like,
one
I was
scene,
like,
whatever. I thought of
that whole scene was so
what is
slow.
Starship Troopers,
It was dumb. And then it's like she's
where
having like a full
how
on
like Starship Troopers, they had like a team of three. I mean, there was like originally three people, and then they all spread out and did their own thing, and came
yeah.
back.
Yeah. Oh, Starship Troopers is a whole nother. That's a whole. It's diabolically brilliant. I love Starship Troopers for for a lot of reasons. It's just fun.
Or maybe they were trying to do like a kid version of Starship Troopers or
It,
something like
it,
that with the.
it would work about as good as Police Academy did. Like no. Oh yeah. Again, yeah. I remember Police Academy because the first one was restricted, the second one was adult accompanied. The third one was PG-13, and each one of them was PG-13 after that. And then they had a kids cartoon, and like they kept downgrading it right from there, and it's just like it lost everything. But what am I getting here? I'm getting a restream bot. Oh, people are chatting over on the thing there.
I'm on that phone, so I can't see.
And we do have some people. a person, Lovelace XYZ online strips without clothing. Somebody's okay. Somebody's got a bot and they're hitting the restream chat. That's what they're doing. That's what that is.
Well,
Yeah. Oh well. Here, if I go over to chat, it'll be on here. Online strips. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Fantastic. With emojis. Well. Well. Okay. Well. Might as well give a decimal based point ranking system. What do you give? What do you give The Giver out of a 10?
out of what?
Out of 10, we'll go with the decimal system. You can say something, point something, whatever. What would you give
Well,
it?
I like it for sci-fi, so I'll give it a 6.
You'll give it a 6? All right. I don't know. I'm gonna. It was charming. It didn't have a lot to think about. But it left me kind of with a lot more questions than it did any kind of answers, and it was fun to rip on it. I'm gonna give it about. I'm gonna give it a 5.7. Yeah,
That point's going on.
because it was a Heinz 50. It was a Heinz 57 of different movies, kind of jambalaya into one, right? So I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna say 5.7. However, you know what? If you have somewhat intelligent kids, it might be a good movie to show your 10-year-old or something like that. Like it's not a bad movie. It's just not a very good one. Jeff Bridges is charming though. I have to say he was good. Like if he wasn't in it, I don't know how I'd feel about the movie. That might have got the movie an extra couple of points even, because like otherwise I might not have watched the whole thing. But
Right. Yeah, he did make the rest of it that wasn't part of it.
I wonder what
And it's like almost like he was like a cameo kind of still.
I thought that's all it was going to be. I almost, when I first saw him at the beginning, I already kind of figured out the context and what the movie was trying to sell. And I was like, oh, I see what they're going to do. Jeff Bridges is the giver. He's going to give all this knowledge and stuff and whatever, hand it down, and then go to the elsewhere. That's what I thought was going to happen. Seriously, I thought Jeff Bridges was on his way out. I thought he was going to get terminated, and it's the kids. It'll be Maze Runner. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was waiting for. And they didn't do that. And I was like, oh, wow. Jeff is going to hang around, Jeffy boy. Yeah. So, hey, he was good. Meryl Streep was just Meryl Streep. Like, I mean, I don't know. She just put her Meryl Streep mask on, and then that was it. I'm not a big fan of new Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's awesome. Don't get me wrong. She's a brilliant actress. I want to say she is a good actress, but she didn't put as much.
Negative person.
Yeah.
She plays negative people.
Yeah, well, she's been more bad guys lately in her. I guess. Well, I mean, she doesn't have that young, glowing veneer anymore. It's just like, what's going on? I'm a bad guy. So, but I digress.
In order to get the job, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen her in weird ass like things where she's has her face painted and stuff, and hair all like done up.
Was it? Didn't they do a mockery of her in? I'm pretty sure, yeah. In was it Team America: World Police? But was it? They did. No, it was Susan Sarandon. Susan Sarandon, your acting skills are getting weak.
Wow.
But I thought they had Meryl Streep in there too, as a member of FAG, of Film Actors Guild.
Oh, right.
Remember? I think it was.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
It was like Meryl Streep and somebody, I think, off on location. It was just before. Just before they take out the base or something. I don't know. I have to go back. We're gonna have to do a rewrap of some of these older flicks too. We're gonna kind of hit some of these because.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, segue of an older flick that you haven't watched yet, and I've been telling you to watch. This will give you a reason to.
Okay.
Zardoz.
Zardogs.
No, Zardoz.
Dawes?
Yeah.
Like, how's that spelled? A D-A-W-S or?
It's like wizard, right? Zard, the Z-A-R-D, and then O-Z.
Oh,
like
okay. Z-A-R. Okay. I thought we were gonna do it. I'm going to do a quick search for that because. Sorry.
Sean Connery stars in it, wearing like a Speedo. It's hilarious.
Zardogs is Sean Connery. Let's see, Zardogs. Okay. 1974. Hey, my birth year. Irish American British
Yep.
science fantasy
Yep.
film, written, produced, and directed by John Boorman, and starring Sean Connery and Charlotte Rampling. That was when Sean Connery was in his his prime years. Like he was doing. That's when he did the.
Yeah, this movie got no play though. This is like one of those barbarian style. Like you would find it next to the barbarian movie type of
yeah, right.
storyline.
Zardoz.
That's
Okay.
where it would. It's crazy.
Oh,
It's like they would definitely have to see it and like do a thing on it.
their tagline: Beyond 1984, Beyond 2001, Beyond love, Beyond death, Zardoz. In a world where.
Basically.
All right, that'll
Yeah.
be next
That was one of Jeff's favorites apparently, and back when he was talking about the favorite movies he had, like, and he like had a lot of horror ones that he liked or whatever. One of the sort of fantasy type of ones that were like on that realm was this one that he mentioned. So I like looked it up and I watched it and I was like, what the fuck? It was like so crazy, you know, like that. I liked it though. It had this weird like, how did I not see this kind of element?
Right, right. Okay, well we're gonna have to go watch that then. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Have you seen
That'll
it
be the next
recently?
one.
Have you watched it recently?
No, I'm gonna have to do a rewatch.
We'll do the rewatch together, and we'll take some screen caps and we'll have footage of our reactions to it. We'll watch it together, and then yeah, we'll have that for everybody next week on Sunday night here at Two Guys One Movie. And do you got any wisdom you want to impart upon our audience?
Just always do your research before like deciding shit, because what's the point?
Right? Well, you heard it. You heard it from there. All right. Well, eat all your greens and don't eat yellow snow. And we'll get back to you next week on Sunday. That concludes our movie review of The Giver. And like I said, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. And yeah, I learned something. Hayden Christensen has a cloning operation. But anyway, we're off. All right, guys. We'll see you next Sunday. Peace.